Forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star, your supreme protector is Almighty Allah. Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are. Press forward and forward to the light of Allah, and repeat, Alhamdulillah. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are.
We are here at Teens and Parents, and we are discussing a topic that is a little bit thorny sometimes, but it's something that we definitely have to discuss. It's called intimate relations. How are we going to stem the tide, make the change, make the transition? Well, we discussed the media aspect of it, and we're discussing what needs to take place inside the home. Because, unfortunately, we're going to touch on an Islamic topic where there's a difference of opinion. I'm sure that the people, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, and they're viewing our program now, and you do see the women who cover their faces, they are looked at as being sometimes extreme. But we're not going to get into right now whether this is an obligatory, not obligatory, or things of this nature. This is not the topic. But sometimes even the family will look and they will say, she will say, you know, I want to cover my face. The family will go, what? Why? How? Kayf? How is this possible? You know, you're with some group, aren't you? She wants to cover her face. Okay, what are the benefits of something like that? Where is the seat of beauty for the woman? On her face. Of course, if she doesn't cover her feet, and her face and her feet are exposed, what is the person going to look at? Unless you have a foot fetish or something like that, you're going to look at her face. Is this correct? Okay. So why would she be frowned upon? You understand my point?
Yes.
She wants to be modest. She wants to dress modestly. But even their own families will look down upon them, will look badly at them, and then to say, I don't know what happened, you've changed so much. What do you think about this?
Well, this should be encouraged, praised, you know. I mean, we're living in a time where people say freedom of choice and this and that, but does it depend on what choice? I mean, here you have someone who wants to be modest, someone who wants to be upright, someone who wants to be respected. Because obviously, if a woman is valued and you can't see her face, then she's valued for something other than her physical beauty. And this is very important to a woman to know that I'm valued not because of my body, not because of my looks, but I'm valued because of who I am and because of what I know. And this is very important to a woman. And I think that should be something that more women should, embrace, because the Creator created them, so they have no choice about what beauty they have. And if that's the only reason why they're respected or that a guy wants them, then that's very shallow, and that's not going to last too long past the very initial meeting in a relationship, whether it's through marriage or otherwise. This is why so many guys go from girl to girl, girl to girl, because he only wants what he sees, the physical part.
And once he's gotten that, he's not so interested in her.
And even nowadays, you find the same with girls. You find a girl going to a guy to another guy, also for the physical.
Yeah, but how has the nature of the woman been changed so much that this is acceptable? There are songs, rap songs that are on the radio, mainstream radio, not underground, that's talking about, I need this and I need to do that and everything. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Typically, if we look at the nature of the woman and the nature of the man, they're different. And Allah has told us, لَيْسَ ذَكَرَ كَالْأُنْثَى, they're not alike. So the woman, typically, she's modest, And when she has her first physical relationship, she wants to stick with that man. But the problem that happens is when that man only wanted something physical from her, and he breaks the relationship. And if you look at women, when he breaks that relationship, the first relationship that she ever had, and she never forgets all of her life, it really devastates her. So after that, if she goes to another guy and another guy and another guy, then you break that natural nature that was originally in her. But a guy, he can go from girl to girl and it don't matter to him. He doesn't have a problem with that. But women, if you check, and I've been listening to them, they're really disturbed, and they remember the first relationship they ever had. A guy, he might have to think for a while, who was the first one, So, Allah has created the nature and created family. And if we break that, that structure, the family structure, you destroy the whole society, because this is the foundation of the society, family.
Now, when I was growing up, there was a young lady who, this is going back to high school, she used to cover herself, she was a Christian lady, but she would cover herself up. You would never see her legs, never see her arms. And, of course, she didn't wear a Muslim covering, because she wasn't Muslim, but she was very, very modest in her dress. How are we going to sell this idea to our sons to want a woman like this? I think what the young women don't understand, and now I'm directing this one to you, what they don't understand is that if you advertise or you give off certain messages, you're only going to get back a response based upon that which you put forward. For example, if I put an ad in the newspaper that I'm looking to sell a car, the only people who are going to call me up are who? People looking to buy a car. So if I'm looking to sell a car, nobody's going to call me and say, hey, look, I want a house. So if a woman is going to advertise herself as a loose woman, a fast woman, someone with all of her traits on display for everybody to see, who's going to be interested in that?
Guys that just want to have fun.
But then you will find that they will complain.
Yes.
Men are no good. All they want to do is just have fun.
Because no matter what, like Brother Rasul said, like they still have, this in their nature, the need, for example, of security, of stability. So no matter how she becomes or the limits she puts on her physically or the way she dresses, she still needs that part. So therefore, they're always going to complain. They're always going to feel something wrong. Mm-hmm. And this is like fitrah that God created in them.
Right. And that needs to be supported. It needs to be brought out. It needs to be nurtured. But it's very difficult for something like that to take place in this particular society where the more that you show, that's your currency. If you got it, flaunt it. You see, that's what we tell our daughters. Even we will send our daughters to high school, to college, to the best colleges, so they can get a degree. And then she wants to get a master's degree. And then she wants to get another degree. And then she goes for an interview with a skirt that's showing her knees, that's showing more of her leg. I asked some young women one time, and I said, why do you dress like you do, with tight jeans, tight shirt, and so on and so forth? What did they say? We don't dress like this for any man. We dress like this because it makes us feel good. This is what they said. Okay, no problem. I said, so what do you wear in the house? They said, oh, some baggy jeans, an old sweatshirt. But I said, but wait a minute. The person who you wanted to impress is there when you go home.
Right.
When you're in the confines of your home, the person who you are there to impress, meaning yourself, why don't you go put on lipstick, put on makeup, put on high heels and everything to sit there and to eat dinner by yourself? Why don't you do that? Because the person who they want to impress is really not the person in the mirror, but it's the people in the street.
Yeah. I think in light of that, when we speak of this, we can't forget Allah. You know, as Muslims, we have to understand that the one that we should be trying to please is Allah. And everything that we do, it should be for the pleasure of Allah. So if we can instill that in our children, in ourselves, then we'll have to reevaluate everything that we do and ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Why am I dressing like this? And then in the long run, our objective is to make it to paradise. So, what you're doing, does that, get you paradise? Does that please Allah? These are the questions that we should be asking ourselves, because Allah said in the Quran, "Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut." Everyone is going to die. You got a certain period of time here on earth. Where are you going to go after you're done? You see? So you have choices to make. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about life. He said, al-maut wal-hayat, liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. So we created life and death. Why? Why are we here? He created life and death to test us, to see which is best in deeds. So it's a time of testing, a time of sifting out. Allah said, وَمَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So we're here for the worship of Allah. And then you want your place in paradise. How are you going to get that?
You should want your place in paradise.
Yeah.
Emphasis on should.
Yeah.
Because that means that there has to be a belief that this is what I want, has to be some action going towards it. And we're going to have to make some action going towards a break. And we'll be right back, inshallah.
Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star.
So I think, in a way, premarital sex is promoted amongst this young generation. And the way they look at it is they're going to do it anyway. We might as well help them do it protected. So that's what I have to say about this issue. In summary, it's who your friends are. It's, a little bit about how you're raised, maybe what religion you're in, your parents affect it. Some parents, they just accept that their kids are going to do it, so they just hope that they do it safely.
Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star.
According to the Quran, we live in a universe that worships Allah. It is not just human beings who celebrate His praises, but animals as well. Join us every Wednesday at 20 GMT for your show, Even Animals Glorified.
Forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star.
Welcome back. We are discussing intimate relations with my two guests, Sheikh Ali Rasool and Raqib Nasiri. And we would like to welcome you all back. Now, we're going to have to change the tone just a little bit. We've been talking a lot about women advertising themselves, women being more modest, women wanting this. Now, we're going to have to look at the other aspect of it. What about our sons? What messages are we allowing them to, what message are we sending where it's like the boys will be boys? So if the son comes in and he has 5 girls' number, 10 girls' different phone numbers, everything and all, it's just like, oh, boys will be boys. This is ridiculous. But if the daughter comes in with 10 different numbers, it'll say, hey, wait a minute, you have to respect yourself. So, this double standard is what's breeding it, isn't? What do you think?
Parents, usually they talk to the guy like if it's okay. Oh, so you're a player. Keep it up. You're like me back in the days. Then the dad will be proud. But if it's a girl, you'll be surprised. You'll be like, hey, you better take care. She could get punished. She could get even worse consequences. You can see worse consequences. So that itself, it's first of all, it has nothing to do with religion, and it's not fair, and it's like it makes it worse. No, it's for the woman as for the man.
How are we going to progress and be successful underneath these, these double standards?
Yes.
I would definitely say that, alhamdulillah, for the blessings of Deen al-Islam, وَكَفَاهَا بِهِ نِعْمَةً, it's a gift from Allah. And this is the only hope for mankind and society. And it's a blessing that we have it, and we have to help to try to get this to the other people so they can benefit by it. One saying of the Prophet ﷺ, which would solve so many problems between Muslims and non-Muslims, and that is what the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. That you don't truly believe till you love for your brother what you love for yourself. So every girl is a daughter of a man, perhaps a sister of a man or a boy, the daughter of a woman. You know, in some cases we're talking about the mother of someone. You see, so if you looked at it as you don't want this for yourself, you don't want someone to be having improper relations with your sister or with your daughter or with your mother, so then why should you
Accept someone
it?
else.
You see? So this is a typical thing that the Prophet ﷺ has said, and by the blessings of coming to Islam, you benefit from these beautiful sayings and actions and practices of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ.
I mean, go ahead, and then I'll add a point to what you said. Yeah.
And then, like, another point, like the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, "If'al ma shi't, fakama tudinu tudan," which means, and it's like the saying of nowadays, what goes around comes around. So if a guy played with a lot of girls while he was young, like, and then he gets like the same scenario happens to his daughter, or maybe his wife did the same, and in that situation he cannot really say anything because he accepted that for him, so it came back to him, and that's what the Prophet ﷺ says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like what goes around comes around. So, like, men or women, they have to take care, because this rule is for everyone. It's not for a specific gender.
Yeah. You see, an interesting point is that, as is well known, Muslim men can have more than one wife, up to 4 wives. So many people will say that this is certainly oppression, this is certainly not fair, and this is something that is awful. This is what they would say. But at the same time, their sons all have multiple girlfriends. But somebody will say, oh, but he's not married to them. Okay, but all you have to do is just replace your own son with someone else's son and put that girl who is the girlfriend, just make your daughter one of the 7 girlfriends of this man. This is ridiculous. No man would willingly accept that. But the interesting concept is, if a man wants to marry 4 wives, now this is interesting because he's responsible for them. He has to clothe them, feed them, shelter them, take care of them, and be responsible for them and share equal time with them. All of a sudden, having 4 wives is not the great sexual escapade that the people try to advertise, an Islamic marriage to be. That it's just about girls and girls and girls. Anybody who has more than one wife would know that, okay, you do have lots of pleasure and enjoyment and good times with your wives, but at the same time, this one's not happy. Then you go to the other house, that one's not happy. Now you got 2 unhappy people, okay? This one wants some new shoes. That one also wants some new shoes. You only have money for 1 pair of shoes, you see? So that means they get shoes and you don't. So, this is the concept of marriage in Islam, wherein if you were to hold fast to this religion without your own interpretations, feelings, and thoughts, we know that plural marriage is a part of Islam. It is a part of Islam. So if you don't fight against it, and a man comes to you and he's a good guy, you're pleased with his religion and everything, and he is already married and he wants to marry your daughter, what would you say? You had better get out of here. But at the same time, if she has most people don't see any problem with having boyfriends and having girlfriends and things of this nature. Well, we're going to have to start to wrap up this particular episode. So, Ali Rasul, if there's any message that you have for the fathers of the daughters and our young people out there, what would your message be for them? And then I'm going to ask you if you have any message to the mothers of those same daughters and sons. What would your message be? Ali Rasul, let's start with you.
Bismillah. I would say firstly that a father has to take his son or his daughter, in this particular case we're speaking of the son, and clearly let him know, I want to help to try to save you from the hellfire. I don't want you to burn in the hellfire. And so you have to help me to help you. And then you go through the steps to let him know that this fornication or adultery leads to the hellfire. It leads to AIDS. It leads to children that don't know who their fathers are. And you need a woman that has taqwa, so she will obey Allah, whether you're the most handsome or not the most handsome. If she saw a man more handsome than you the next day, she'll stay by you because she fears Allah. You see? So this is what we should speak to them and let them know, look, you want that woman that fears Allah, and she's going to give you your rights, whatever, you know. So we have to get that into their minds, that what is the real wife and the real husband that should be sought.
Raqib.
Yes, about moms, because moms also, they're really close to the kids. I believe, like, first of all, for the guy, she should show, like, her son, like, how women are valuable, how sensitive they are, how he should take care of their feelings. And second of all, she should show them, the girl and the boy, that, like, would you accept me as your mom sleeping around with guys? Could you even picture it? Then they could really feel it. Okay, maybe that daughter, maybe that girl is a daughter of a mom, or she's even a mom herself. How come you accept it for her and you do not accept it for me? Isn't that selfishness? Like the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith when he was talking to a youngster about how bad is fornication.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're out of time, and I want to thank both of you for coming. Jazakumullahu khairan. And with this, I am going to sign off for this particular episode. I am your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are, in the shadow of the sun or by the light of a star. Your supreme protector is Almighty Allah. Go forward, young Muslims, wherever you are. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are. Press forward and forward to the light of Allah, and repeat, Alhamdulillah. Go forward, young Muslims, whoever you are.